Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, Enrichers, Carter Wilcoxon here, CSI Financial Group, joined by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Tim James of Chemical Free Body. Tim James, how are you today, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's sunny in Portland. We've been getting sun all weekend, and I finally decided to get outside and get some. It's been real nice. Nice.
Well, it was interesting. I was just watching something on, and it kind of sort of, I would say cracked me up, but it was interesting. I was just watching this doctor that was talking about, he's been in, virology and immunology and all this stuff and herd immunity and everything. I was watching this, this deficiency that he was talking about, speaking of the sun, and vitamin D. And during it, when he's talking about vitamin D, he actually said, well, vitamin D is actually mislabeled. It's not actually a vitamin. So I thought that was interesting because you taught me that on one of our other previous podcasts that vitamin D is not a vitamin at all.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's a hormone.
Yeah, it's a hormone. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, hey, wait, I knew that already. So anyway,
I'm like E.F. Hutton.
You are.
Yes. The E.F. Hutton of health.
That there you go. So anyway, we have one of our advisor partners, as we call them, Jon Garland-Sutter, on here with us today. And Jon, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic.
Hey, man, Jon's business is called Illinois Income and Estate Planners, but I think you should call it Jon Garland-Sutter. I mean, that's so regal. What were you thinking, man?
I just in case people needed something more prestigious, I figured Illinois. Since I'm in Illinois, I figured that way they wouldn't have to look for me specifically.
Well, from a marketing standpoint, it's probably better just to type Illinois in there so people in Illinois could find you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had a buddy, actually, he opened up a snowboard camp up in Mount Hood, and he called it Mount Hood Snowboard Camp because back when snowboarding first got popular, people would want to come to Mount Hood in the summer because we got snow in the summer, and they would type in Mount Hood snowboarding, and then they would, that was his keyword.
It would pop up.
Yep, it would pop up. But anyway, his name's really fancy, but his planning's even better.
No doubt about it, for sure. So, hey, Jon, let's go ahead and just jump right in it for our Enrichers. Enrichers, thank you again for tuning in to another Health and Wealth podcast show with my co-host, as I said, Mr. Tim James, who is getting some vitamin D out there, hormone D, I guess, if you will, out there in sunny Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, hormone D.
So, hey, Jon, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about your history and, what got you into the financial services arena in the first place, dealing with clients and building relationships and helping those clients with their problems that they have and solving this and everything. So, take me back on, if you can remember, what sort of led you down that path in the first place of, becoming an advisor or insurance advisor, whatever way you want to call it. Was it high school? Was it college? Was it something that happened to you that you got introduced to somebody? Take us back on where you got to where you're at today.
I first got into the insurance business probably 20 years ago. It's been almost 20 years now, exactly. And really, I have a background in journalism, believe it or not. So that worked out well for me. But I spent 2 years as a reporter and doing sports reporting. And there was the certain aspects of the sports reporting that I liked was I got to get out of the office. I got to go talk to people and just, I'm a naturally inquisitive person. So I ask a lot of questions anyway. The part I didn't like about journalism that you may laugh at is I didn't necessarily love the writing part, which is really kind of big. So, and then as I did it for 2 years covering high school sports, it was really hard to get enthusiastic about sports in general when it became a job. And it's like, I just wanted something else. So I was looking for something, and really insurance. At the time, I didn't think I wanted to be insurance because, let's be honest, most people have a negative connotation when you say the word insurance. It's like saying used car lot almost, even though they're very different. So I was kind of in that mindset of I didn't understand it. And I thought, I don't want to go into insurance because that's, of course, what I was getting a lot of people recruiting me. But at one point I sat down, I listened to one of my first manager in the business, and he kind of laid it out. And it was very, the way he laid it out was, we're here, these people are looking for help, and we are there to help them, and this is what we do. And he kind of explained how we would basically find a solution that fits whatever their needs were. And it really appealed to me, like, hey, I can do that. Like, I'm not selling, like, I don't think of myself in sales at all, even though I know the general public says we're in sales. I don't sell anything at any time. It's more of like, I find out what it is your situation is. And if I have a solution, then I'm going to show you what the solution is and why it works. If I don't have a solution, I'm going to tell you, there's nothing I can do. This is what you need to do. You need to go over here and do this, that, and the other. I can't help you, but I'll direct them. So that's always been my approach from day one, is if I can put them in a better spot than where they are currently, then I'll help them. If I can't improve their situation, then I'm going to just leave them alone and direct them to where they do need to go if I happen to know. So when I got into the insurance business, I spent, I've been doing that and focused on the health side, of course, for these 20 years, and spending a lot of that time in Medicare, which, I always equate Medicare to kind of like a magic trick, if you will. If you've ever gone to a magic show or seen a TV program where you watch the trick and you go, how the heck do they do that? Like, that's amazing. That's a really complicated thing. And then if you ever see one of those shows where they show you how the trick works, you're like, oh, that's it. That's really kind of simple. And that's kind of Medicare. Everybody looks at Medicare and goes, oh my God, this thing it's so confusing and it's crazy. But once you actually see how it works, which really isn't that hard, but once you see it, they go, most of my clients are like, oh, okay, well that's really not that hard. It's so I kind of look at my job now as more of an educator as well as the financial services. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to educate you on where you're at, where you're trying to go, and what your options are to get there. And if something I can do helps you do that, they're going to buy something because they know they need it because of what we're trying to accomplish. If it doesn't fit what they're looking for, I wouldn't let them buy it anyway, just because I don't want to be putting them in something that doesn't work for them. Because at the end of the day, we're going to get a call eventually if we do that we're not going to want to handle. So I'd rather only handle the good calls where people go, thanks so much for what you did. It's amazing. I passed your name to my cousin and my aunt and everybody else because they needed help too. So, but back to the original question though, kind of a long way to get there. What led me into the financial services was, after years and years and years of dealing with the Medicare side, there's naturally going to be a lot of questions that arise from people in the process of helping them out with their Medicare that dovetail right into what we do through the financial services side and through the estate planning. And I can't tell you if I had a nickel for every time I had someone go, oh, I don't need to worry about it because my son is on my checking account, or my son's on my deed, or oh, I'm going to give all my stuff to my kids beforehand. We won't have to worry about it. It's amazing how many people think that is a viable solution. And having gotten into the trust and estate planning and learning more, so I always knew that was not a good option, but I didn't have a good idea of how to tell them why that's not a good option. It just doesn't sound right to me. Doing the trust and estate planning now, it's like, okay, here's why that's a bad idea. And if you still think this is a good idea after I'm done telling you this, I can't help you. So, but that was really what led me into it, was just all the questions I got that I didn't know the answers to. And when a friend of mine kind of showed me this platform that we use, it just made a lot of sense to be able to offer that to my clients, as well as to use it to prospect for new clients who are already in the search for those processes.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, also, share with us a little bit about what your life was like, pre, the advisor partner platform, pre that, like on your regular business dealings, in the Medicare magic world, as you called it. What were the interactions like with those clients? I feel like what you're saying is that you felt like you could be doing more for them, but that was focus, which ultimately, gave you experience in the field. But I am curious on what was the interaction like working, with those households. And I'm assuming that a lot of times whether it was referral or door knocking or whatever the case, but you got a lead, one way or another. Share with me the sort of the experience in that world prior to what it is that you're doing now.
So, yeah, I mean, in my career, it's progressively, obviously, as the way it's supposed to. And when you're in this business, is it progressively gets easier the longer you're in it. I would say, like, when I began in the business, I ran a lot of hours and weekends and, all hours of the day, because I'm cold calling and calling on small business owners as well. And you have to meet with them when they're available. And it's kind of like you're at their beck and call. And the one thing that I think anyone who's been in our industry, even the ones who are no longer in the industry, one thing that they will all agree to is that the hardest part of the business is a lot of times you're trying to shoehorn someone into a product because you don't know when the next opportunity is going to come, or at least that's what they expect you to do. And you're cold calling constantly and just trying to find someone that fits what it is, product or service you're doing. Now, Medicare, when I transitioned into Medicare from the straight health insurance, it got a little easier in that my clients didn't want to meet with me after dark. I'm dealing with retired people, so it became a much more 9-to-5 job in terms of the sales process. But I was still making a lot of cold calls, still working 5 days a week, nonstop. At least I got to cut out my weekends. But the financial services part, what's really nice is because of the products we're dealing with, I don't have to try real hard to convince someone this is what they need to do. Like with Medicare, it was a little bit, I had to convince them sometime, because even though every plan is exactly the same in Medicare when it comes to a supplement, they all think that their plan is doing something special. Like, oh, they've been really good to me and I don't want to switch. It's like, no, you don't understand. All of them do that. So there is some convincing that goes on. With the financial services and what we do with our platform, I don't make outgoing calls, and I don't have to chase people the way I did before. It's because what we have is so unique and so valuable that if they don't see it right away, I'll just deal with the clients who do. I'm not going to spend an extra hours upon hours trying to convince you that this is unique and this is really where you need to be. It's like, you know what? The people that I do work with, I spend a lot of time with already. I don't need to convince someone who's fighting me the whole way. I can just deal with the ones who get it, and the ones who are like, yeah, this is exactly what I need, and go from there. So from a life perspective, it's freed up a lot of time, freed up a lot of stress. For better or for worse, my wife sees me more. I don't know if that's a good thing, but some days she's like, you have something today, or are you leaving? COVID's been a little interesting with that. So
Sure.
But no, I mean, all of them give you that satisfaction. And I think that's what's kept me in the business so long, is the satisfaction of knowing when you're done with a client that you've helped them in a way that most other people probably couldn't or wouldn't. And especially so with the honestly, what kept me out of the financial services world for so long was I was very scared of going into it without knowing exactly what I was doing, because, if you're dealing with someone's life savings, I don't want to guess. I don't want to be guessing at what I'm doing. So until I was comfortable knowing that I knew what I was doing, or that the people around me were 100% knew what they were doing, I wasn't going to be comfortable talking to them. But now that I'm in the space and I know the people I work with are 100% accurate on what they're doing, I don't have any qualms about talking to them about their money. So that's a good feeling of knowing when you help someone, and I can't tell you how many clients have been like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I feel so much better, especially with the volatility we've seen in the market in the last year here and there, and what could potentially still be there down the road. There's a lot of fear and stress, and when you can relieve that stress for them, it's a good feeling when they're very thankful for that.
Yeah. So Medicare supplements is primarily, when you say in the Medicare field, that's primarily what your solution was, right? Where you were trying to help these.
Yeah. So I work. Yeah, I was, and I did not deal on the other side of Medicare, which is like Medicare Advantage. I stay away from that side. I was doing all Medicare supplements, and just working with all the various companies, not just one. So.
Yeah. Now, I would make a safe assumption, and I know we've had these conversations, in the past, but for our enrichers, as we call our audience, as they're listening, share with them how competitive of an industry the Medicare supplement field is.
Well, it's very competitive from the standpoint that if I'm selling, whatever company X, whatever they offer as far as their plan goes is by law exactly the same as company Y. So all it comes down to is the price. So if I sell them Aetna 1 year and 3 years from now, Aetna is not the cheapest, there's someone who's $10 cheaper. If another agent sits in front of them and says, hey, I can get you this company, it's $10 cheaper per month, and it's the same thing, they're going to likely switch to that for $10, $10 a month. So it's competitive in that stance. The thing that I guess would separate me from a lot of my competitors is, one, I've been in it a long time, so I work solely on referrals, so my referrals don't tend to be searching around a lot. But two, making the cold calls when I was first starting is something that a lot of new agents into that business won't do. So there's very few people who will go the full 9 yards that myself and some of my agents would do to really get ahead in that business as far as getting in front of clients on a consistent basis. So, but it is a competitive market because there isn't too much that I can offer that someone else can't offer the exact same thing.
Right. So very commoditized. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. It's like it's a banana.
So let me get this right, John. You actually had to work to make a living.
Kinda, yeah.
It wasn't handed to you.
I actually had to do stuff.
Yeah. Magical how that works. I remember when I first got into the mortgage business before financial advising, they handed me a stack of people like, these people's rates are at 9%, rates are at 7%. Call them. It's just all day long calling people, and then bing, you find one. And then really? You really want me to help you? All right, cool. It's kind of you work, and then you help somebody, and then they send you a friend. And after those years and years of working and helping, and all of a sudden you've reached that point where people are coming to you. So I remember the first job company I did with this, they had what they called B leads. These were, because they had A leads, that were fresh, that were either direct mail or internet or whatever, telemarketed leads that were brand new. They had these B leads that could be anywhere from 2 years to 10 years old. I think the oldest one I had was 12 years old.
Wow.
But the only way you could tell is if you looked at their age and their date of birth, and you'd go, wait a minute, that's 12 years off. So that's a 12-year-old lead. They would give you as many B leads as you wanted. And I was out of an office of 25 people, I was one of the only ones who would go into the office, and I would just call the B leads all day long. Yeah. And like you said, it's a matter of why wouldn't you call them? I mean, some of them I sold majority of my business off the B leads, whereas everybody else is looking for, I need an A lead. I need someone who just called in. Well, yeah, that's an easy way to do it, I guess. But
yeah, and they're selling those leads to 5 other people. They're never exclusive. Ever.
Exactly. No one's calling the B leads except me, so I was exclusive.
All right, so if there's any new advisors listening in right now, John might have just given you a golden nugget. Don't try to compete with everybody else with A leads. They're more expensive. Everybody's calling them. Don't believe in the exclusivity. Call the B leads. They're people that probably were interested in something at one time. They got what they needed, but things have changed, and they're open to new stuff. So
right,
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I want to talk about, I want you guys to get into how CSI Financial has skyrocketed your business in the last 2 years and taking you to places that you never thought you would go. We'll be right back.
Are you concerned about being able to get all of your affairs in order during this trying time? Are you troubled by what would happen if you ever became incapacitated? Maybe you've been procrastinating in the past to address these issues, but now, more than ever before, you know just how important it is to get everything documented. Well, don't worry, because we can get you taken care of right from the comfort of your own home. Welcome to the revolutionary My Life Card Plan estate plan processing platform, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. We are very pleased you are here, and rest assured, we can offer you a complete estate planning experience regardless of where in the 50 states you may live. Our unique transformational system combines efficiency, convenience, and professional support at levels you never thought possible for setting up your estate plan. Moreover, we will provide you with powerful, user-friendly dynamics that put you in total control of your plan throughout your lifetime. Call us today at 888-316-6040 or go to www.csifinancialgroup.com, and our team of specialists will be there to assist you every step of the way.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Jon Garland-Sutter. His name's amazing, but even better is the work he's doing helping people with their finances. Jon, thanks for being here. Now I want to get into like you meet Carter at CSI Financial. You know, you're obviously a hustler. You called all the leads, you called the B leads. You built your practice through hard work and dedication and follow-up and persistence. And, you know, you've got a good practice going. So why bring CSI Financial in?
You know, it's a good question. I don't know how to answer that one other than,
well, you better, or you're in trouble.
I know. It's not going to make sense in that, because like you said, when you say it like the way you just said it, it does sound weird. You know, I was very successful. I was making plenty of money. I was doing very well. And, you know, most people go, why would you change it up? But I had a rep that worked for me, and, you know, together I told her about this opportunity that I had looked at the year before with a friend of mine who was already here. And I told her, I said, listen, and I knew she would be very good at it, just from her background. And I said, listen, here's what I've been looking at. I'm willing to take you with me. Of all the agents that I had under me, I'm willing to take you with me because I think you'll be very good at it. And she was extremely excited. So it was kind of like, hey, let's see if we can turn this into something. Because I knew that if the guy who had told me about it, if Scott was right, even if he was half right, I could double my income without doing a whole lot more work. So it's like, well, let's see what it's all about. So we got into it, and, you know, we went and did our first seminar. And, you know, I think anyone who's known me over the years would probably agree with me that I'm probably ultra conservative in the way I do things. Like I'm not a dive head first into it and spend a ton of money hoping it will pan out. You know, we did our first seminar, and my partner at the time was going like, hey, we got to get the next one on the books. I'm like, hold on, I want to make sure, I want to wait and see the whole process through before we throw any dollars at it, just to see. And
you're not the kind of guy that goes to Vegas and throws 10 grand on the roulette wheel on black. You go to the nickel machines.
Yeah, exactly right. I go play poker because I can kind of control it.
Yeah, that's right. Smart.
And only $200. That's it.
Yeah.
So we did our first seminar, and the thing that's really been amazing with it is your client base is so much smaller, because you don't like in Medicare, to make really good money, you need 1,000 clients. That's hard to keep track of 1,000 clients. To do really well in what we do, I don't need 1,000 clients. I need 5 to 10 clients a year that are good clients. And the benefit of that is I can really pay attention to them and really take care of them every step of the way, because I don't need to find 990 others just like them. Mm-hmm. And so it really in a way, it freed up my time more, and being able to focus on each individual client better. And you know, because it's not in Medicare, I would call them, I would sit down with them, and in one meeting, I would sell them a Medicare supplement. We'd move on. This is not that quick of a process, as well it shouldn't be. You know, it's 5, 6, 7 appointments with them to get them through the entire process of explaining a trust, selling a trust, moving on to the financial side if that's what they choose to do, and going through all those meetings to explain what we can do for them from the financial side of things. So it's not a quick process, but I think the client appreciates that, because, as Carter said earlier, if you're dealing with their finances, they want to feel comfortable. It's not going to happen in one meeting and certainly not in a first meeting. So,
yeah, well, Jon, let me just jump in real fast. And, you know, when we first originally met, Obviously the introduction that Scott Garcia, who we're talking when we say Scott, that's who we're talking about, who has been a guest on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Make sure you guys go and check out. Here's my shameless plug on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Go check it out. And I believe that was episode number 3 in there approximately. But whenever Scott introduced me to you, we had some connection very quickly because I'm a golfer, you're a golfer, and it's amazing how, golfers tend to, they connect and they bond fairly quickly, right? Because we can talk that lingo and we're both, single digit scratch golfers and everything. And that also, really lends itself to our relationship building. So I think you were open in the first place and you were intrigued. And I think whenever your associate that you brought on, and we both know who we're talking about, her excitement in it and everything, I think that really helped elevate your excitement into what,
absolutely.
Right?
No, absolutely. I mean, and Rebecca, who we're talking about, who, we're very similar, but there's enough differences in our, I'm much more of the, I don't know if reserved is the right way, but I'm much more methodical. Whereas she, like you, I guess excitement is the right way. She is very much more go after it, hard go getter, full strength type of thing. And so what's good when we work together, what was good is when she gets a little more aggressive, where it's thinking going too far over the skis, I'm the one who's like, okay, let's hold back, hold on, slow it down. We'll get there.
Whoa, Millie.
Yeah, roll the reins. But at the same time, when I'm moving too slow, she was very good at pulling me forward and going, no, we got to do this. And it's like, okay. So she would drag me along and make us push a little harder when we needed to. So it was really a good partnership from that. And we obviously still talk quite a bit about that and work together quite a bit on that. But, the good thing about it was, that whole synergy of it, if you will, really worked well in getting us going. And that was certainly a big help, because sometimes you need to be more I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but more of you need to have more of that dreamer side sometimes, and then at other times you need more of that analytical side. So having both of us doing that really, I think that helped us get our success up and going quick, and from there it's just propelled both of us where it's become second nature how we do it now. So
yeah. So
that's been really good.
So I have been saying this for almost 3.5 years now, since we first soft launched our advisor partner platform, and this turnkey solution by bringing a team of specialists all together to help these end user consumers that you are already in these households, with Medicare, supplements and everything, to really help them understand the connectivity and what's been disconnected between estate and financial planning. But I said early on, and I know I've said it to you as well, and you just alluded to it, what this really helps to do is it gives you a more quality prospective clients, as opposed to having to have 1,000. Now you can have 10 to 15 that can help you have a better, quality of life, if you will, right? You get more time to spend with your family. You have more time to spend on really developing solutions for these clients, and where it's not like just get a transaction and boom, you're on to the next one. It really does, share with the enrichers on how it helps not only you to be a more comprehensive planner, but also how you see your clients be more well-served in an underserved area that they really didn't have access to until you brought this to them.
Well, and I think that's a big difference, like you're saying, is because we're so much more connected with the client, if you will, like we spend so much more time with them. As sometimes Andrew will tell them, it's like, you're going to get to spend a lot of time with this, he'll tell the client, you're going to be seeing John a lot for the next several years. And whereas with my Medicare clients, some of them I'm very close with, where they'll call me a lot but you can't do that with 1,000 of them. So, but with this, you spend so much time with them, you're almost part of their lives much more so where you know what's going on at all times, especially when we're talking about estate planning. You know who their kids are, who's had a good Christmas, who hasn't, any of that stuff. But even recently, like I'll mention, as I mentioned, I had a back surgery about a week ago. Some of my clients, because I'm connected with them through Facebook, have even reached out to me through text and been like, "Hey, how's it going?" Because some of them are in the medical field themselves, like if they're anesthesia or nurses or whatever, or doctors. And so, whereas, they're just more connected to you in that manner, just because you've spent so much time with them, and you're going to continue to spend time with them. So they're constantly calling, and every time I talk to them about whatever for financial, I don't think I ever don't get someone going, "So how's the family doing? How are the kids?" That kind of thing. So that is the part of, like, as I go back to what I originally was saying when I started in journalism, that is the part of journalism that I liked, was going and talking to people and feeling like you're just having conversations and connecting with people, more so than having to write a story or sell a product. And so it feels much more like I'm just here truly as an advisor. I'm here to advise you one way or the other. It may not be through me. It may be through something else.
Yeah. So this is where I want to talk a little bit about what the whole purpose of this, like my why on when we had developed this, and as the architect of the Advisor Partner platform, and setting out on this journey to do 3 things better than anybody else in our industry, right? It's a very competitive industry that we're in. Right. I mean, you probably get phone call after phone call after phone call from individuals that are in my space. Is that fair? Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's even before I met you, I would get, you're talking about recruiting calls. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hold a license, they'll call you.
Yeah. So, and if you're contracted with the right carriers, they're going to call you. Right. And they're going to,
right. Absolutely.
And it's always going to be product. Right. So, as you've heard me say many times before, 2 things. Number one, product is not the unmet need in this industry. Plenty of product to go around. Medicare supplements, all the same, right? No difference there.
Right.
And then again, the other thing that I talk about, and what I wanted to try to solve for, is it all begins and ends with client acquisition. If you don't have clients to talk with, it doesn't matter about all the same products at all. So
absolutely,
I set out on this journey, and you just kind of sort of alluded to something of what I want to hit on. I set out on this journey to do 3 things better than anybody else in my space. Number 1, elevate the client experience. And when I talk about the client, I'm talking about Jon Garland-Sutter's client. Elevate that client experience, which then 2 leads to creating what I call professional contrast. What makes Jon Garland-Sutter different? And then number 3, what I end up having to forewarn, those prospective advisor partners that we're talking with, careful what you wish for. Because if you do this right, these clients, you are going to do 3 competitor-proof those ideal clients. You're going to know about their family. You're going to know about, what's going on in their lives. They're going to inject themselves into your life, like what you're seeing on Facebook. Right? So I forewarn them, you might want to be a little bit more picky than you have been in the past, because these are going to be your clients in perpetuity if you do this correct. So do me a favor and touch a little bit on those 3 things that I talk about, on how much this platform really has done those 3 things to change your life.
Well, the easiest way I can do it is tell you that in my client acquisition side of things, from the Medicare side, when I started in health insurance, it was 500 calls a week, dials, if you will, just to get a hold of 100 people to set 15 appointments to try and sell 3 to 5 of them. With Medicare, we're making probably 100 to 150 dials a week off of a list, cold calling, and just nonstop of trying to get 15 to 20 people to sit down with you for the week. And we sold a very high percentage of those because of the way we screened them on the initial phone call. But one thing that was common with both of those were outgoing phone calls a lot. With this, since I've been doing this, I have not made a single outgoing phone call cold, if you will, in over 2 years. And that's a big change because, as you mentioned earlier, I do like to golf, so that does free up a lot more golf time since I don't have to make phone calls. But but the stress level, anyone who's in any form of sales of any kind or insurance hates cold calls. I mean, if you're a recruiter, recruiters will always, that's a big ploy, like, hey, no, or limited cold calls, or the ones who typically tell you no cold calls mean they're going to ask you for all your friends and family's names so you can call them, which is the other pitfall. With what we do, because of the platform and the way we do it, the people are coming to me, and like I said earlier, I don't have to chase anyone who's not a good fit. Frankly, if I am doing a seminar, for instance, and someone is trying to sneak out the back without seeing me at the end, I don't chase them down. If they're that worried about it, I don't want you as a client anyway.
Yep.
If you're not wanting to come talk to me, then that's fine. I don't need to talk to you because it didn't hit home for you. So that's okay. But it's as far from a marketing standpoint as an agent, oh my gosh, it's night and day. I mean, totally stress free. I just talk to the people who want to be talked to and help the ones that want to be helped. Rebecca and I there's a metaphor that we used. If you've ever seen the movie The Guardian, with Kevin Costner, remember he tells Ashton Kutcher when they're talking about how many of you saved, and he said, "Listen, we're rescue swimmers. You save the ones you can save, and you let the sea have the rest." And that's kind of the way I look at what we do. Is like, look, I'm not going to try and convert someone that doesn't want to be converted, or that doesn't want to go, or doesn't want to understand what it is we're doing. The ones who are there's enough eager ones to work with. Those are the ones we can save. If they don't want to be saved, then we move on to the next one. And it really, the change in the mindset has really changed my business in general. And probably I would like to say my home life is, my wife would have to agree, I think it's been better. She has me around more, so I think that's better, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, to touch on the health side of things, happy wife, happy life, right?
Right. Yes, we try.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, and I know that we're coming up on a hard break and everything, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about what this has done, financially speaking for you. Not only the quality of life that you've got, obviously, because of the time, which is the only thing they're not making more of, right? Every click, that's it. That's closer to the end with every tick of the clock, right? So time is invaluable, right, to anybody in any walk of life. So financially speaking, though, how has this really changed things for you, other than the fact that it's giving you more time?
Well, and I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 because it gives me more time, but the more time I take, the less I'm going to make, obviously, but I've been able to increase my income from what I was doing on the Medicare side by at least close to doubling it, even through COVID. Last year through COVID, I would have easily more than doubled my income, but with COVID, I probably increased it about 80% over what it was without it. But more importantly, as you stressed, is time. Like I can be there if my wife goes, hey, the kids have this event or this at school or whatever it is, the play. Before, I always felt like if I wasn't working, then I was losing an opportunity to help us financially down the road. And now it's like, you know what, I don't have to worry about that. Financially, we're in as good a spot as we've ever been. And I can take all the time I want. Now, sometimes that's golfing in the afternoon, and she's not as big a fan of that, but she lets it slide.
Well, I think that's a huge takeaway for the listeners, especially if you're a financial advisor out there. So many people, business owners especially, God, how many of them would have been just happy keeping their business as usual during 2020, yet let alone kind of changing careers. I mean, same field, but different career, basically. It's different. And you increased your business, you increased your income by 80% during 2020 during the the lockdowns and all the garbage. So, I mean, the system's like pretty much COVID proof. I mean, it literally is, and COVID actually probably made it even better because it's an online platform.
In some regards, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, kind of brought people up to speed. So, well, that's pretty awesome, man. What you've been able to do with in your business, hustling, and you partner with CSI Financial, and you're able to increase your business by or your income by 80% during a COVID lockdown. That's impressive. So right now we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to open up the floodgates. Jon's going to ask me any question he wants in regards to his health or anybody else's health or health in general. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently, but we're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. Okay, Enrichers, Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcox, and today in the house we've got Jon Garland-Sutter. Now we're going to flip the script on the wealth to health. So, Jon, go ahead. Ask me any question you like about your health or anybody else's health.
All right. So, I mean, I see a lot of this stuff through friends on Facebook and stuff like that, where, everybody's got a diet, everybody's got hey, I'm doing this to lose weight. What do you think are the most effective natural? I'm not looking for a magic pill, obviously, but weight loss in conjunction with some mild exercise, to lose weight. Obviously, I know we need to eat healthy sometimes too. That helps. But what do you recommend as far as a good program?
Well, as far as dietary goes, I would say anything. If you look at nature over here on the right and the standard American diet on the left, the farther you go to the right towards nature, that's going to naturally happen, right? So think about it. If we went out into the woods and you and I and Carter here, all we had was some little leather skivvies and a spear, right? And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to live off the grid. Literally, we're going to live in nature. How long do you think it would take for us to be healthy?
Not too long, maybe a couple months.
Yeah, we probably get healthy pretty fast, right? So I think that's the big thing. Weight loss that's not a magic. There is no magic to it. The reality is we have a tremendous amount of stress on us, not just emotional stress, but there's physical stresses too, like electromagnetic frequencies. And, a lot of people don't even think about like your headboard of your bed. If it's in a 3 foot of a light socket, you're bathing yourself in electro low frequency, and it's harming your cells and your communication. Most people don't know that. You can buy blockers to put on there. So just giving you a bigger answer here, but the first thing we usually do is we have people just start, working on their stress levels, because when you're stressed out all the time, you're actually blowing out your adrenal glands, you're screwing up your cortisol levels. And it's just hard to lose weight when you're stressed out, and you're not going to digest your food well. So I'm just going to share with you, since I think it's a good time, our core 4 secrets. And over here at Chemical Free Body, number 1 is drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water daily. That's number 1. So if you're a 200-pound individual, that's 100 ounces a day. If you're a 100-pound individual, 50 ounces a day. Now, if you run a lot, exercise, you're in arid climates, you'd want a little bit more. This is very important because your body's mostly made of what? Water. And the water today is polluted. And I've talked about this before, but repetition is the mother of skill. If you go 1,500 miles into the interior, Carter knows this now, the little 2 and 2.5 inch fish in these pristine lakes have both male and female organs today. Jon, why? Because of the estrogen mimickers from plastics are so pervasive in our water today. These estrogen mimickers are disrupting our hormonal balance and our communication, and they lead to weight gain, right, in many ways. So the fishies are becoming hermaphrodites, basically, and they're screwing us up too. So guys are getting man boobs, more prostate cancer, women more breast cancer, more cervical cancer, uterine cysts, ovarian cysts, cervical cysts. These are all from these estrogen mimicking plastics. So today more than ever, and I've even talked about fluoride and chlorines and chloramides and dioxins and all the other bazillion chemicals that are in our food, our water today. So today our water has to be purified. So if you're going to drink some water today, you're going to plan on drinking some water tomorrow and in the future for yourself and your family, it really makes a lot of sense to get your water right. right? So you have to get it purified. Now, with that said, do you guys live in the city, or are you on well water?
We have city water.
Okay, so then lies another huge issue. So let's say you get your water purified, but the problem is that city water is put under high pressure pipes. High pressure piping systems take the natural molecules that are about 4 to 5 a cluster and it takes it up to 20, 25 a cluster. What's the difference? It goes from the size of sand to the size of a bowling ball. Bowling ball doesn't go through a chain link fence very well, does it? So that's your intestinal lining. So if you can drink a lot of water, and I did this for 8 years. I've been preaching water, drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water a day. Like boom, boom, boom. And it really made a difference. But I was peeing a lot too, drinking and peeing. Mm-hmm. When I got my water restructured, then I could drink a lot of water and then it just disappeared. And I was like, what's going on? And I drink more water, it disappeared. Then 2 hours later, whoosh, then I had to pee. That told me it's like, wow, I'm finally absorbing it. Now it's getting into the bloodstream and it's getting into the cell. It's getting into my lymphatic system, which is my garbage removal system. And it's allowing my cells to start getting rid of these toxic buildup. Now, if you have toxins in your cells, in your fat cells, your body's doing this as a protective measure so it doesn't kill you. I don't care how hard you work out. The fat is not going to release itself or because of that toxin that's built up in it, because you could die, right? So you can only release as much as the body can allow. So it's kind of like you have to drink water all the time to allow in this toxic world we live in. And this is from automobile exhaust, rubber compounds off of tires, the paint in our rooms are off-gassing. There's toxins in that car you're breathing in. You can't see them, but they attach to your mucous membrane in the back of your throat. And they go down into your stomach, and then they get in the bloodstream and all over your body, and then they bioaccumulate. So we have to have awareness of this. And if anybody questions this, just type in these 3 words into your browser: umbilical cord and chemical. Umbilical cord and chemical, and you'll see the studies going back to 2005, John, and the people listening, that every single child being born today, the umbilical cord blood is polluted with over 250 chemicals, and 180 cause cancer in humans and 212 cause developmental and brain disorders. So, and the older we are, the longer we've had to bioaccumulate these toxins. So when you're talking about weight loss, knowing this, it's like, what do we need to do? We need to get good water in our body. Our brain's 80% water. Our body's about 75% water. Our bones are 22% water. We want to start flooding the body with purified, restructured water that's clean, that we can actually absorb, and that will allow the body to start opening the channels of detoxification. So that's number one. Go ahead.
Where would you find, so like for me, I've got a purifying system, or the fridge, the filter system, but that's not going to restructure the
a filter is more like putting a sock in a river. You're going to get a little bit out, but it's not going to do much, right? So
if I can't change my water, where can I get water that is structured properly?
We just send people to my friend Danusha. She's where I got the water units. They can just go to mypurifiedwater.com. Mypurifiedwater.com. That's where we send people for that. And she can help you out from the little units, the purifiers, the restructurers, putting it all together. You can start small based on a budget, or you can go all in and she'll show you what I use, right? And you can just carbon copy, stamp it, and go. So that's that. And less than 5% of people are drinking enough water today. And the water they are is polluted and it's not restructured. So this is a major room for improvement. And I had one gal, even before the restructuring component, her name was Carol. She started doing this and she lost 50 pounds in 8 months, just adding water to her life. Because it's just common sense when you think about it. Okay, core secret number 2. You're drinking lots of water. You chew your food until liquefied. This is very important. It's the first step. It's the first domino in digestion. We have 2 ducts up here and 4 in our lower mouth that secrete these enzymes, amylase and lipase. These are going to break down our starches and our fats. And if you don't chew your food well, you're going to have fermentation and gut rot. And they end up with leaky gut syndrome, what I have. And over 90% of us have leaky gut. You don't want that. So by chewing your food really well, not only are you masticating the food into smaller particles so it's easier to digest, but you're preloading it with these important enzymes to break it down. So you load it, and then it goes into the stomach, and that's where all the digestion takes place. And then off it goes. And by doing that, you can also increase your serotonin or your happy juice by up to 500% because your teeth will be stimulating the meridian points. This is Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who's a medical doctor that figured this part out. So how many people have depression out there? They're buying serotonin, right? Yeah. You don't need to. You can just make your own serotonin by chewing your food really good. Less than 4% of the population's doing that. Then core secret number 3, now that you're drinking lots of water and chewing your food really well, You want to avoid liquids with meals. Now, this one's odd for people because they're usually used to like drinking liquids with meals. I know I was. So even if it's purified, restructured water or apple juice, wine, beer, it doesn't matter. You've worked so hard to put those enzymes in there by chewing your food. And if you drink the water, whatever, the apple juice, you're going to dilute those digestive enzymes and you're going to stop the digestion and assimilation of nutrients and go back to fermentation and gut rot. So the rule of thumb is stop drinking liquids 30 minutes before you start eating and then wait an hour afterwards and then start drinking lots of liquids again. If you have stage 4 cancer or you want to, you're an Olympic level athlete or you just want to look and feel your best, stop drinking liquids an hour before you eat and then wait 2 hours after you're done eating and drink a lot of liquids again. Less than 2% of the population is doing that one. So again, massive rooms for improvement. And then the last one we added later, which was doing some breath work prior to a meal, because we live in a stressed out society and our lives are stressed out, even if we don't think we are. Our body still thinks we're getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. And when that happens, the blood leaves the organ systems and goes to the extremities to fight or flight. So simply by taking a breath in through the nose like this right before you eat, and then pause at the top, and then relax, release out the mouth. Nice, long, slow flow. Just let it all go. And then pause at the bottom with your lungs completely empty. And then repeat back in through the nose. Big breath in through the nose and pause. And then release out through the mouth. And then be grateful for your food while you're going through this process, grateful for the people for your life, and understanding that your body is going to heal, understanding that your body's going to take in this nourishment and maximize it while you're doing this breath work. I'm just talking a minute or two. I'm not talking about meditating with, the gurus from India for 4 days. Just a minute or two. And what will happen is that blood will rush from your extremities back into your organ systems. You're going to really go from that fermentation. You're going to really digest your food much better. Less than 1% of the population is doing it. And I can tell you, we ship our products worldwide. And because of the COVID delays, it can take 2 weeks to a month before products will show up in Australia or New Zealand or Ireland or something. People are sending us text. I get more. I got 3 or 4 of them today. Hey, Tim, my bloating's and gas and bloating's better. I'm losing weight. My headaches are getting better. I'm sleeping better. My mental clarity's better. They don't even have the products yet, John. They're practicing these core 4 secrets. This is foundational.
Right.
Before you even think about diet or exercise, you have to get the foundation built for the house so you can build a strong house that's going to last, and that's going to be your health. So those are some things that can really help you. Besides that, I would stay really focused on making sure you're going to bed and waking up at the same times, getting good uninterrupted sleep, cracking your window at night. And I have many more hacks and stuff like that. We have products that help with this kind of stuff too. We have a gut detox that we recommend everybody get on first, get that digestive tract cleaned out so that the nutrients can be absorbed better, and then get on our greens. That'll cut your hunger cravings big time and flood your body with nutrition like you've never seen before, and you just won't be able to eat as much. And, the weight will just fall off. And then we take people into intermittent fasting. There's tons of stuff to talk about, but that's just give you a gist of it.
Sure. Awesome.
All right.
Well, no, I just wanted to just interject just real fast. The core 4 secrets that Tim shared with you today, that he shared with me, early on, 6 months ago. These are things that, just so I'm, want the enrichers to understand, these are things that I forget to do, right? But I know when I incorporate them, they work, right? That's part of doing the work, right? Is in order for it to work, you have to do the work. And I know it may seem like a lot of work to do, right? Like not drinking water or liquids before you eat, right? Chewing your food. I remember when I first started doing that, I'm just like, it's going to take me an hour to eat dinner. Like that's what it felt like. I'm just like, and I think that we're such a society that wants that instant gratification that it's hard to incorporate these. But I promise you, because when I do them, it's beneficial. So if you do, it will be worth it.
Well, let's look at this too. Let's look at what the cost if you don't do it. Well, what's the health of America right now?
Not great.
What's it gonna be worth if you don't put yourself first, and you don't take care of your health? Statistically, you're gonna end up, half of people listening will die of heart disease. The other half are gonna die of cancer, and then there's type 2 diabetes and COPD and all this stuff. We work our asses off and save our money and pay our taxes. And then hopefully we have this wonderful thing called retirement, but then you don't have the health to do anything. You're on an inhaler, you're taking, you're in a wheelchair or a walker, you're sucking down a bunch of pills. Is that really quality of life? No. So there's a huge price to pay. And it's like, is it hard to do? Well, what we do is we just have people program that stuff into their phone, Carter. That's it. Wake up, start time, when I go to bed, when I wake up, when I drink my greens, take my gut detox, when I eat lunch. Remember, chew food, avoid liquids, enzymes, probiotics, repeat. And then every day they get buzzed and like, oh yeah, chew my food. By programming your phone, you're actually programming your subconscious mind. Within 3 to 4 months, you're going to have a hard time forgetting this stuff. I'm just saying the people that do it have a much higher quality of life. It works. And the cost of not doing this is suffering, poor health. You're going to miss work. And, you're going to end up getting surgeries and chemotherapy and recovery. And that's painful and that's suffering. It's needless if people will just learn some of these basics and implement them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. It's those core 4 that are, and again, those core 4, it doesn't really cost you that much other than, implementing them, right?
Yeah. Well, the water system is an investment, but people are spending so much money. People are spending $100 to $200 a month packing water that's garbage water in plastic. Then they're drinking plastics that are off-gassing. If you're drinking out of a plastic water bottle right now, like I used to, you're literally you're like killing yourself. And once you have this information, if you continue doing it, you're basically suicidal. That's what it really boils down to. That's how bad these things are. I can't believe that it's legal for them to have plastic water bottles. Like, it should not be legal, right? That whole thing with the whole BPA and Aaron Brockovich, it was a huge deal. Now everybody's like, BPA free containers, woohoo, and I'm driving in my, electric car, and I'm eating organic and I'm saving the planet. You're not doing anything. BPA, there's BPS, BPB, there's 37 other chemicals that are microscopically different than BPA that do the exact same thing or worse to the human body and to the environment, period. And the chemical companies, they pay a little bit of a fees out, whatever, they're making money. They don't care. They move on to the next chemical. There's 2,000 new made every year, and they're only testing 1/4% of them. They're just being rubber stamped all the time. They have literally a time frame. They have to get them tested. And if they don't, the EPA just stamps them. Okay, out they go. What kind of a deal is that where we pay our government, we the people, our government agencies are just allowing these chemicals because they don't have time to get them approved? They just stamp them and let them go out. Where would that be? Think about it for you, John. It's like, well, how's it going to go with my money? Well, I don't know exactly what stock I'm going to put it into, but just, send me a check and I'll kind of figure it out when I get to it. And when the money gets there, and it's like, where do we want to put this one? Hell, I don't know. Just stick it in that one. We don't have time for this shit. Move on to the next. Right. That's what's going on with our health. How long would you be in business? And would you want somebody to manage your money that way?
Absolutely not.
But that's what they're doing with our health. They're trying to, it's mismanagement. It's corrupt. It's terrible. So we have to take charge of our health. We have to take charge of every aspect of our life, and our health is one of them. And if you don't do it, all that money you saved up is going to go towards medical bills. And then it's not going to be happy. And then I've seen it all the time. I remember when I was a financial advisor, I'd watch these people have all this money, and then there'd be a problem with the wife, right? And then the guy spends his entire savings trying to get a little bit of her health back. And then she dies in the end, and then he's left destitute, no savings, no nothing, living on a Social Security check. It's needless. That doesn't need to happen. They need estate planning. They need that family succession planning, and then people need to plan for their health. It's not really that hard. And we really want to help people with this so they don't have to suffer. There's too many people are suffering with this. It's really easy.
Right. Well,
yes.
I got to jump on the road here, so I know you can edit some of this.
Yeah.
At least. So do you mind? I'll let you do the outro, because I got to jump on the road to get to them before Andrew calls.
Yeah, no. Hey, all good. I know you got it at the bottom of the hour and everything. So I will go ahead. And one last thing that I want to ask you just real quick, John, before you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what you know now, how long ago do you wish you would have started this process utilizing this platform?
Well, if I was confident enough, I could have started it at the beginning, but I wish I would have at least, if nothing else, started a year before when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard question, because if I didn't, I'm a big believer in, if I didn't have, everything I've done has brought me to where I am here, where I am now. So if I didn't have my experience in the health insurance, I wish I'd started Medicare before the health insurance even. But if I didn't have my background in Medicare, it would have been that much harder transitioning into what I'm doing now, because I wouldn't have felt as comfortable as I did.
Yeah.
But certainly I wish I could have had more years of doing this, for sure.
Let me ask you it a different way. When are you going to change the way you do business moving forward?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, I don't plan on changing it from what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, I don't see a need to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's my point, right? I mean, I've talked to Scott many, many times about this. When I tell him how other advisors are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna do a seminar on Social Security this time. Next time I'm gonna do it on taxes. Next time I'm gonna do it on.
Don't recreate the wheel.
Don't recreate the wheel. That's obviously my point, right? Using estate planning as that foundational approach, you would never change because it just works for everyone.
No, there's no reason to change it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Enrichers, I want to thank you again for staying on and listening to our Health and Wealth podcast show. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And you can go ahead and check us out online, www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com, for other episodes just like this. Jon Garland-Sutter of the amazing Jon Garland-Sutter, as you said earlier, Tim, right? On you were like, hey, you should change it from Illinois Income and Estate Planners to Jon Garland-Sutter, because it's such a cool, unique name. But for Jon Garland-Sutter and for my co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, I'm Carter Wilcoxon, CSI Financial Group. Thank you again for joining us for this podcast. Have a great day. Live in abundance. And we will see you guys next time on the Health and Wealth podcast show. John, have a great day. Enjoy you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth podcast with Carter and Tim.